And energy experts and policymakers are gathered in Singapore this week for the city-state's International Energy Week. It comes amid a series of challenges hampering efforts towards reducing global carbon emissions. The gathering provides a platform to discuss many of these issues. And DD India correspondent Patrick Fok is in Singapore following the discussions. Well, Patrick, energy security has been high on the agenda at the gathering in Singapore. What all can you tell us about it?
Yeah, that's right. It certainly has been. And when you consider that we are living in times of global economic uncertainty, regional conflicts and growing energy demand as well, this is really something at the forefront of many governments' minds. And, the conflict in the Middle East as well has very much brought this back in focus. So this event really aims to bring together energy leaders and policymakers to discuss technological innovation and investment solutions to bring about greater stability when it comes to energy security. And in that regard, Singapore has announced that it is going to be setting up establishing an entity which will centralize the purchasing of natural gas from next year. Now, this is important because Singapore derives 95% of its energy needs from natural gas, and it has experienced a lot of volatility as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So Singapore says this will bring about greater economies of scale and greater purchasing power, and will essentially help it to reduce that volatility and bring more security to its energy needs. And, this is important to note as well, because it's very much in line with this trend of greater government intervention in the energy sector, particularly important for small countries like Singapore. But this is something that we could be seeing adopted in other countries as well.
Singapore also says it's undecided about the use of nuclear energy despite the regional interest. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, that's right. And as a matter of fact, the theme for this year's events is energy transition towards a net zero future. And, again, trying to achieve lower carbon emissions is important for every country around the world. It's being discussed here in Singapore. And, with regards to nuclear energy, as you say, many countries around Asia and other parts of the world have this on their minds as well. Singapore has said that it is weighing its options right now, but it's closely monitoring new technologies, including things like small reactors, which are said to be easier and cheaper and faster to build, and that would mitigate some of the concerns, particularly around things like how to handle radioactive waste, and also building these sorts of facilities close to heavily clustered populations like we have in Singapore. But, Singapore has made it clear that it is undecided at the moment and that it is weighing up its options. There are concerns as well that, in this sort of case, and in the case of other countries in Asia as well, that it could lag behind. And some experts have talked about how Singapore lacks the expertise and technological infrastructure in place to set this in motion. But again, it's a reminder of the pressure that many governments are under to try and move towards net zero carbon emissions.
Right, Patrick. So thank you so much for that update from Singapore.